Hello everyone, I'm Father Ray Ball, pastor of Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in Concord, New Hampshire, and I'm happy to offer a reflection for this third week of Advent on the theme of joy, as part of this 4-part series on hope, love, joy, and peace during the 4 weeks of Advent. I am joined today by my assistant, my 5-month-old kitten named Allie Cat. You might notice that we dress alike. We both wear black with a white collar. One thing I've learned in the 2 months I've had this kitten, they don't miss much of anything. They're aware and alert to almost anything going on around them, any sounds and movement. It makes me realize how much I'm missing, how much I'm not paying attention to what is around me, because my mind is often miles away. I think most of our minds are usually busy and preoccupied with replaying things that happened in the past, regrets and resentments, or stressing, worrying, and being anxious about things in the future. So I've learned the importance of waking up and being more present and alert to what is around me. And what is true of sights and sounds is also true of spiritual realities like hope, love, joy, and peace. And that is why Advent is here, for us to be more present to these ever-present gifts of God, where we learn that less is more, and that life is not about getting somewhere, it's about being somewhere. I think that's why the church during these first 3 weeks of Advent and the Gospels takes us out to the desert. Usually we think in order to prepare for Christmas, we need to go somewhere where there's more to add on to our life, like a store. We're so much like Martha, anxious and worried and upset about many things. The principal reason people do not come to the banquet is because they're too busy and preoccupied. Too often we're so like the prodigal son, thinking that joy is somewhere out there for me to get to, or it's somewhere in the future, because this place and time are somehow lacking, never realizing that what we are looking for has been here all along, that the kingdom of God is at hand. Instead of taking 1,000 steps forward, all we need to do is take 1 step back. Rejoice, of course, means rejoy. In other words, experiencing joy again, a joy that we once had but have lost a connection with, because we've eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. In other words, we're living out of our minds, out of a conceptual world, rather than the real world, where the kingdom of God is at hand, and where the fullness and vitality of the presence of God is to be found. Our sacraments help point out this, that the physical, material world is a dwelling place of the divine, the holy, the presence of God.
Unlike happiness, joy is not an emotion or a thought. It is a state of being. Happiness is an emotion, and all emotions have an opposite. Happy, sad, mad, glad. That's because they're dependent upon our changing thoughts and circumstances. Joy, however, has no opposite because it has to do with being.
Often we think of joy the same way we think of happiness, as something that depends on certain conditions being fulfilled. Isaiah lived during a time of exile, but found reason to express hope and rejoice. In the second reading this weekend, Paul says to rejoice always. Even when he's in prison, shipwrecked, flogged, beaten, he says, give thanks and rejoice always, because joy is not dependent upon external circumstances, but upon an internal relationship. John the Baptist out in the desert is able to point to a new beginning by pointing to the Christ. Even in the seemingly weak and helpless Christ and the infant in the stable of Bethlehem on Christmas, or on the cross of Good Friday, even there is God to be found and love revealed. And so even here in the midst of our lives, whatever the external circumstances, is there reason to rejoice. And so like Isaiah or Paul or John the Baptist, or like the shepherds and the wise men, or Mary at Christmas, may we allow the light of the rose-colored candle, the light of joy, to be rekindled in our lives once again. So may we allow this eternal flame of faith, the fire of love, and the light of hope to brighten our lives with a joy the world cannot give, and a joy the world cannot take away. Keeps coming back. What do you think of that?